The signal came on a Tuesday. Dr. William Foster stared at his computer screen, not quite believing what he was seeing. After 20 years at NASA, he thought nothing could surprise him anymore. He was wrong. "Can you verify this?" he asked his assistant, pushing his glasses up his nose. The young woman leaned over, squinting at the pattern of waves on the screen. "It's not random noise, that's structured." "Exactly," William said. "It's a message." That was 3 months ago. Now William stood on a hill overlooking what used to be the small town of Millfield, Ohio. Where houses and shops once stood, strange metal structures twisted toward the sky. They gleamed under the sun, beautiful in a terrifying way. The aliens called themselves the Krathal. They arrived in ships that looked like giant sea creatures, floating down from the clouds as people stood in streets, filming with their phones. Their first message was simple: "We come in peace." For 2 weeks, that seemed true. They established outposts in remote areas, invited scientists to study their technology, and promised to share knowledge that would end disease and hunger. World leaders welcomed them with caution, but hope. William never trusted them. Something about their tall, slender forms and too perfect faces made his skin crawl. When they offered to let him examine samples of their biology, he jumped at the chance. "I need you to look at this," William said to Dr. Victor Martinez, sliding a tablet across the lab table. Victor, a geneticist with wild ideas that had earned him both respect and ridicule, studied the screen with growing alarm. "This isn't possible." "I've run the tests 3 times, William said. "Their cells change structure depending on what they touch. They're mimics." Before they could alert the government, the first attack happened. Millfield, population 8,000, went silent overnight. When military forces arrived, they found only empty buildings and strange metal towers. No bodies, no blood, no signs of struggle, just silence. Daniel Powell lost his wife and 2 daughters that night. They had been visiting his mother-in-law in Millfield while he stayed home with a cold. Now he stood beside William at the edge of town, his face blank with shock. "They took them," he said, voice flat. "They took everyone." Captain Alexandra Hayes arrived with 50 soldiers, her face grim under her helmet. "Dr. Foster, we need to move back. We don't know if this area is safe." "It's not," William said, pointing to his handheld sensor. "The air around those towers contains microscopic organisms. They're changing the environment." Alexandra nodded sharply. "Fall back," she ordered her troops. To William she said, "The same thing is happening in 23 other locations. Small towns, all hit simultaneously." "This was never first contact," William said. "This was a scouting mission." That night, the Krathal dropped their disguises. Their ships released pods over major cities worldwide. The beautiful human-like visitors transformed into their true forms. Tall, insect-like creatures with multiple limbs and glowing blue eyes. They moved with frightening speed, capturing humans rather than killing them. "They're taking them somewhere," Agent Samantha Cole said, reviewing satellite footage at the hastily established Resistance headquarters. A former FBI agent specializing in unusual threats, she had been tracking strange phenomena long before the aliens arrived. The question is why. William had a theory, but he needed proof. Working with Victor in a makeshift lab, they examined tissue samples from a dead Krathal killed during an attack. "Look at these readings," Victor said, excitement cutting through his exhaustion. "They're energy vampires. They feed on neural energy, the electrical signals in our brains." "Human batteries," William muttered. "They're harvesting us." Over the next week, conventional weapons proved mostly useless against the invaders. Their technology could disable electronics, melt metal, and create force fields that bullets couldn't penetrate. Military bases fell. Governments collapsed. People fled cities for rural areas, forming desperate communities of survivors. Alexandra Hayes, now leading what remained of several military units, coordinated resistance efforts from a bunker under the Rocky Mountains. "We can hurt them," she told her officers, pointing to footage of a successful ambush. But we can't stop them. Not with what we have. Agent Cole arrived at the bunker with files marked with the highest security clearance. There might be something, she said, spreading old papers on the table. Project Pandora. It was a Cold War experiment, looking for ways to enhance human abilities. Super soldiers? Alexandra asked skeptically. More than that, Cole replied. They were trying to activate dormant parts of our DNA. The project was shut down after test. Subjects developed abilities. What kind of abilities? William asked. Telepathy, enhanced strength, rapid healing, Cole said, and severe psychiatric issues. The subjects lost control. They became something else. Daniel Powell, who had joined the resistance as a scout, listened from the corner of the room. Something worse than those things out there, he asked, his voice hollow. Maybe, Cole admitted. But what choice do we have? Victor studied the files with growing excitement. These researchers were onto something real. Human DNA contains sequences that have no apparent function. What if they're dormant abilities, emergency adaptations? You want to recreate a failed experiment from the 1970s? Alexandra asked. I want to improve it, Victor said. With modern technology and what we've learned from the Krathal biology, we could control the process better. William wasn't convinced. Even if it worked, we'd be changing what makes us human. We're already being changed, Victor argued. The difference is whether we control that change or let the Krathal decide our fate. That night, the bunker shook with explosions. The aliens had found them. Alexandra's forces fought bravely, but they were outmatched. As walls crumbled around them, William made his decision. Get Victor and the Pandora files to Site B, he told Cole, handing her a hard drive. This contains everything I've learned about the Krathal biology. It might help stabilize the process. What about you? She asked. William checked his weapon. I'm staying with Captain Hayes. We'll buy you time. As Cole escaped with Victor and Daniel through a hidden tunnel, William joined Alexandra at the bunker entrance. Outside, inhuman shapes moved in the darkness. Ready? Alexandra asked, her face illuminated by distant explosions. William nodded, thinking of what they were about to unleash. The Krathal had brought hell to Earth. But humanity's response might prove to be an even darker nightmare. Ready? He said. The mountain bunker fell within hours. As dawn broke, Captain Alexandra Hayes led the few survivors through dense forest. Her arm was bleeding badly, but she refused to slow down. We need to reach Site B by nightfall, she said, checking her map. The Krathal don't move as fast in daylight. Behind her, the remaining soldiers carried what equipment they had salvaged. Many were injured. Some wouldn't make it without medical help. 20 miles away, Agent Samantha Cole arrived at Site B with Dr. Victor Martinez and Daniel Powell. The underground facility had been built during the Cold War, hidden beneath an old power plant. This place hasn't been used in decades, Cole said as they entered through a hidden entrance. She used her security clearance to power up the systems. Victor moved quickly to the lab area, setting up his equipment. I need to start work immediately. The Pandora files contain the key to activating dormant human potential, but the process is dangerous. Daniel watched him with hollow eyes. After what happened to my family, I'll take any risk. I'll be your first test subject. Not yet, Cole said firmly. We need to understand what we're dealing with first. General Richard Grant arrived that evening with 3 helicopters of soldiers and refugees. His uniform was torn and dirty, his face grim with exhaustion. The West Coast is gone, he told Cole and Victor. The aliens have established processing centers in every major city. They're taking people by the thousands. Among the refugees was Olivia Chen, a programmer who had worked for a tech company in San Francisco. Their ships have patterns, she explained, setting up her laptop. I've been tracking their movements. They follow mathematical sequences that can be predicted. As scientists and soldiers established a working base at Site B, reports came in from around the world. The Krathal had conquered most major cities. Conventional weapons barely slowed them down. Millions were missing, presumed captured for harvesting. Father Gregory Wilson arrived with a group of survivors from his church. The older man seemed strangely calm amid the panic. My congregation experienced something unusual before the attack, he told Victor. Collective visions, dreams of darkness awakening within humanity. Mass hysteria is common during crises, Victor said dismissively. Father Gregory shook his head. This was before the aliens revealed themselves. We saw what was coming, not just the invasion, but what would follow. Meanwhile, Alexandra's group finally reached Site B, their numbers reduced by half. Among the survivors was Kyle Ramirez, a former Special Forces soldier who had fought the aliens hand-to-hand. They have a weakness, Kyle reported to General Grant. They react badly to certain sound frequencies. High-pitched noises seem to disrupt their communication. Dr. Elaine Weber, a psychologist who had been documenting the invasion's effects on survivors, noticed something odd about Kyle. You were exposed to them directly. Did they attempt to harvest you? Kyle nodded slowly. They had me. I was inside one of their processing chambers, but something happened. I felt a surge of something. Next thing I knew, I was free and 3 of them were dead. Victor examined Kyle immediately, taking blood samples and running tests. Your brain activity is off the charts, he said, staring at the readings. The exposure to their technology triggered something in your neural pathways. The discovery accelerated Victor's work on Project Pandora. With data from Kyle's unusual condition and the old research files, he began developing a treatment that might give humans a fighting chance. General Grant remained skeptical. Even if you can enhance human abilities, we're outnumbered and outgunned. We don't need to match their numbers, Alexandra argued. We just need to hit them where it hurts. Olivia's tracking algorithm revealed a pattern. The Krathal ships returned to central processing centers every 3 days. These centers appeared to be their most vulnerable points. As Victor's work progressed, Dr. Weber documented increasing cases of unusual abilities among survivors who had close encounters with the aliens. Some could sense the Krathal's presence from miles away. Others showed increased strength or healing abilities. It's like their contact with alien technology is triggering dormant genetic potential, she explained to Cole. The same potential Victor is trying to access deliberately. After a week at Site B, Victor made a breakthrough. I need a secure area to test the treatment, he told General Grant, and I need volunteers. Daniel Powell was the first to step forward. I have nothing left to lose. Despite Alexandra's concerns, preparations for the first Pandora treatment began. Victor converted part of the facility into an isolation chamber. The process has 3 stages, he explained to Daniel. First, a genetic modifier to unlock dormant DNA sequences. Then neural stimulation to activate new pathways in your brain. Finally, a stabilizing agent to prevent cellular breakdown. And if it works? Daniel asked. If it works, you'll be stronger and faster than any human has ever been, Victor said. You might develop other abilities we can't predict, but there are risks. What kind of risks? The original test subjects experienced severe psychological changes. Aggression, paranoia, loss of empathy. Some lost their humanity entirely. Daniel looked through the observation window at the treatment chamber. The aliens already took my humanity when they took my family. The first treatment was scheduled for dawn. That night, Site B received a transmission from another resistance group. They had captured something important, a Krathal scientist. General Grant ordered it brought to them immediately. Under heavy guard, the alien was placed in a secure cell. Its true form was even more disturbing up close. Insect-like limbs, blue glowing eyes, and skin that shifted colors like oil on water. Dr. Foster, who had survived the bunker attack with Alexandra, studied the creature through a protective barrier. We need to understand why they're here, what they want beyond harvesting us. To everyone's shock, the alien responded in English. You misunderstand our purpose, it said, its voice clicking and hissing. We harvest because we must survive. But we also prepare. Prepare for what? Alexandra demanded. The alien's skin rippled with colors. The void. It comes. Always hungry. We fled it for generations. Earth is our last refuge. So you destroy us to save yourselves? Foster asked. We transform what we can use. The rest is necessary sacrifice. That night, as the resistance leaders debated what to do with this new information, alarms blared throughout Site B. The Krathal had found them again. As soldiers rushed to defensive positions, Victor made a decision. We can't wait until morning, he told Daniel. The treatment is ready, it's now or never. Daniel entered the chamber without hesitation. The doors sealed behind him. Outside, the first explosions shook the facility. Alexandra organized the defense, but they were outnumbered. The Krathal would breach their defenses within hours. Inside the treatment chamber, Daniel screamed as chemicals flooded his system and electrical pulses stimulated his brain. His body convulsed violently. On the monitors, his vital signs went wild, then flatlined. We've lost him, one of Victor's assistants said. Victor stared at the motionless form in the chamber. No. Wait. Daniel's eyes snapped open. They glowed, with the same blue light as the aliens. His body rose from the table, floating inches above it. What have we done? Dr. Weber whispered. Daniel turned toward the thick glass window, looking at them with eyes that were no longer human. When he spoke, his voice resonated with strange power. I can feel them, he said. I can feel all of them. And now they'll feel me. The lights throughout Site B flickered as Daniel Powell became the first of a new kind of human. Outside, the Krathal attack suddenly faltered. Whatever humanity had unleashed was about to change the war forever. The Krathal attack on Site B stopped suddenly. The aliens retreated, their ships rising into the night sky with strange urgency. Inside the facility, everyone stared at the monitors in confusion. What just happened? General Grant asked, his weapon still raised. Dr. William Foster looked from the screens to the treatment chamber where Daniel Powell floated 6 inches above the table. I think they're afraid. Daniel's transformation was unlike anything they had expected. His skin had taken on a faint blue glow. His eyes shone like stars. When he finally spoke again, his voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. I can see them, he said. All of them. Their ships, their minds, their plans. He turned to look at Victor. What did you do to me? Victor approached the chamber cautiously. The treatment activated dormant genes in your DNA. But this result is beyond anything in the original Pandora files. Dr. Elaine Weber ran tests on Daniel for the next 3 days. His strength had increased tenfold. He could move objects with his mind. Most disturbing, he could sense the thoughts of everyone around him. It's like he's evolving into something new, Weber told Alexandra and Foster in private. And the process isn't stopping. Meanwhile, Dr. Nathan Black arrived at Site B. As one of the few surviving scientists from the original Pandora project, his knowledge was invaluable. We never intended this outcome, he said, examining Daniel through the observation window. The original goal was to enhance human abilities, not create a new species. But can it help us defeat the Krathal? Alexandra asked. Maybe, Nathan said. But at what cost? The question became more urgent when reconnaissance teams reported that the Krathal were changing their strategy. They were abandoning smaller outposts and gathering their forces around primary harvesting centers. They're preparing for something big, General Grant said during a strategy meeting. We need more enhanced soldiers if we're going to have any chance. Despite Admiral Joseph Barnes's strong objections, the leadership voted to continue the Pandora treatments. Nathan worked with Victor to refine the process, hoping to maintain the enhanced abilities while reducing the more extreme changes. The problem is stabilization, Nathan explained. Daniel's transformation continues because the treatment triggered an ongoing evolution. We need to find a way to stop the process at a certain point. The second volunteer was Sophia Lee, a young scientist who had lost her entire family in the San Francisco attack. Her transformation was different from Daniel's. While she gained increased strength and speed, her mind remained more stable. Instead of telekinesis, she developed an ability to absorb and redirect energy. The treatment affects each person differently, Victor theorized. It seems to amplify existing traits and potential. As more volunteers came forward, Eva Rodriguez established a global communication network to coordinate resistance efforts. The Krathal controlled most satellite systems, but human ingenuity found ways around their blockades. Enhanced individuals have been spotted in resistance cells across Europe and Asia, she reported. Some underwent similar treatments. Others developed abilities naturally after alien contact. Admiral Barnes remained concerned. These people aren't soldiers anymore. They're something else. And Daniel Powell's group is becoming increasingly isolated. Daniel had gathered the first wave of enhanced humans into a separate unit. They operated independently, attacking Krathal outposts with frightening efficiency. But reports of their methods troubled Alexandra. They're not just killing aliens, she told Foster after reading the latest mission report. They're feeding on them somehow, absorbing their energy. Dr. Weber's ongoing psychological assessments confirmed their fears. The more they use their abilities, the less human they become. Daniel's group is developing a hive mind. They're starting to see normal humans as inferior. The situation grew more complex when a young survivor named Benjamin Morris arrived at Site B. Tests revealed something extraordinary. He possessed natural immunity to the Krathal influence. More importantly, his brain chemistry seemed to resist the negative effects of the Pandora treatment. His DNA could be the key to stabilizing the process, Nathan told the Leadership Council. If we can incorporate elements of his genetic structure into the treatment, we might create enhanced humans who maintain their humanity. While the scientists worked on a new version of the treatment, Alexandra led a mission to one of the smaller Krathal harvesting centers. The intelligence they gathered was disturbing. They're converting human neural energy into some kind of shield, she reported upon her return. The captive humans aren't just food. They're being used to power a massive defensive system. The alien prisoner they had captured earlier provided a chilling explanation. The void approaches. We build protection. Your kind is necessary. What exactly is this void? Foster asked. The alien's color shifted to a deep purple. It consumes entire galaxies, civilizations. We fled across many systems. Always it follows. That night, Sophia Lee approached Foster with an urgent request. I need to see the alien. Alone. Foster hesitated but agreed. Through the observation window, he watched as Sophia stood before the alien's cell. No words were exchanged, but a strange energy passed between them. When she emerged, her eyes held a new understanding. They're telling the truth about the void, she said. I saw it in its mind. It's coming, and it's worse than anything we can imagine. The next day, Daniel Powell and his enhanced group returned to Site B unexpectedly. They moved differently now, with perfect coordination like parts of a single organism. Daniel's appearance had changed further, his features sharper, less human. We've discovered something, he announced to the Leadership Council. The Krathal have a central hive mind. It controls their entire operation on Earth. If we destroy it, we can end this war. And how do you propose we do that? Admiral Barnes asked skeptically. We need more of us, Daniel said. More enhanced humans. The old version of humanity can't win this fight. The room erupted in argument. Barnes accused Daniel of seeking power rather than victory. Alexandra questioned whether destroying the aliens would leave Earth defenseless against the approaching void. General Grant pointed out that they had few alternatives. As tensions escalated, Benjamin Morris stepped forward. The quiet young man rarely spoke at meetings, but now he addressed Daniel directly. I've seen what happens when people take the treatment, he said. You're not just changing your bodies, you're losing what makes you human. Daniel stared at Benjamin with glowing eyes. Perhaps humanity needs to evolve beyond its limitations. Or perhaps we need to remember what we're fighting for, Benjamin replied. That night, an explosion rocked the east wing of Site B. In the chaos, Daniel's group broke into the lab and stole the refined Pandora treatment. By morning, they were gone, along with the research and several scientists who had chosen to join them. Among the missing was Nathan Black. This has become a three-way war, Alexandra said grimly, as they assessed the damage. Us, the Krathal, and whatever Daniel is becoming. Foster looked at the ruined lab where months of work lay destroyed. Only one sample of the stabilized treatment remained hidden in Benjamin's quarters for testing. "We need to find Nathan," he said. "He knows too much about the treatment. If Daniel forces him to develop more advanced versions..." The facility shook as alarm sirens blared. On the monitors, massive Krathal ships appeared in the sky above. "They've found us again," Alexandra said, reaching for her weapon. Sophia Lee stepped forward, her hands already glowing with gathered energy. "Get everyone to the escape tunnels, I'll buy you time." As the evacuation began, Foster made a critical decision. He took the last sample of the stabilized treatment and approached Benjamin. "The world needs someone who can stand between humanity and what's coming," he said, offering the injection. "Someone who won't lose themselves in the process." Benjamin looked at the syringe, then at the monitors showing both approaching aliens and the distant energy signature of Daniel's group. "I never wanted to be special," he said quietly. "None of us did," Foster replied. "But here we are." Outside, the first explosions lit up the night sky as humanity's past and future collided. The sky burned as Site B fell. Alexandra Hayes led the survivors through underground tunnels while Sophia Lee held back the Krathal attack. They emerged 10 miles away, watching smoke rise from their former sanctuary. "Sophia?" Foster asked. Scanning the horizon, Alexandra shook her head. "She gave us a chance. We need to use it." Benjamin Morris walked silently among them, his transformation still underway. Unlike Daniel's dramatic change, Benjamin's was subtle. His eyes remained human, though they now held an inner light. His movements were graceful, but not inhuman. "How do you feel?" Foster asked him. "Connected," Benjamin replied. "I can sense the others, Daniel's group, the Krathal, but I'm still me." Eva Rodriguez established contact with other resistance cells. Reports came in from around the world of a new development, enhanced humans fighting both normal humans and aliens. In some areas, Daniel's followers were setting up their own territories. "They're taking over abandoned cities," Eva said. "Paris, Cairo, New Delhi. They're offering the Pandora treatment to anyone who joins them." Colonel Lauren Miller, who had been leading conventional military operations in Europe, confirmed the news. "These enhanced groups are effective against the aliens, but they're becoming a greater threat to unmodified humans. They see us as outdated." 3 days after the fall of Site B, the survivors reached a new safe house, an old mining facility converted by resistance fighters. There they found Dr. Andrew Phillips, a researcher who had been studying the evolution of enhanced humans. "The process accelerates with each generation of the treatment," he explained. "Daniel's group is using a modified version that increases power but decreases stability. They're evolving faster, but losing their humanity quicker." Foster and Alexandra debated their next move. With Benjamin as their only enhanced ally, they couldn't match the power of either the Krathal or Daniel's forces. "We need a different approach," Foster said. "We can't win by force." That night, Benjamin woke with a gasp. His eyes glowed brightly in the darkness. "I can feel them. All of them. Something's happening." Miles away, in what used to be Washington, D.C., Daniel Powell stood at the center of a newly formed hive. Dozens of enhanced humans moved around him, their minds connected to his. Among them was Dr. Nathan Black, now transformed against his will. "The shield is nearly complete," Nathan said, his once independent mind now part of the collective. "When the void arrives, we'll be ready." Daniel nodded. His appearance had changed dramatically. Tall, gaunt, with skin that rippled with light. The Krathal were right about the threat, but wrong about the solution. "We don't need to harvest humans. We need to evolve them." In their safe house, Benjamin described what he sensed. "Daniel's group is building something, a psychic shield. They're planning to transform as many humans as possible." "Against their will?" Alexandra asked. "They don't see consent as relevant anymore," Benjamin replied. "They think they're saving humanity by ending it." Foster turned to Dr. Phillips. "Is there any way to reverse the Pandora effects?" "Not completely," Phillips said. "But I've been working on a stabilizing agent. It won't remove the abilities, but it might restore the human consciousness that's being overwhelmed. Mia Jackson, a communications specialist who had escaped the fall of Site B, offered a critical insight. I worked with some of the enhanced humans before they changed completely. There was a pattern. The more they used their abilities, the faster they lost themselves. But some maintained their humanity longer by forming emotional connections. This gave Foster an idea. We need to remind them what they're fighting for. Not just survival, but what makes humanity worth saving. As they developed this plan, Gabriel Stone arrived at their base. Once one of Daniel's lieutenants, he had broken away, bringing with him a small group of enhanced humans who resisted the hive mind. Daniel is planning something worse than you know, Gabriel told them. His body showed signs of advanced transformation, glowing eyes, quicksilver skin, but his mind remained his own. He's not just building a shield against the void. He's trying to harness its power. How? Foster asked. The Krathal's harvesting technology. Daniel's group captured their main processing center. They're studying how to amplify and redirect cosmic energy on a massive scale. Alexandra called a meeting of all remaining resistance leaders. We're fighting two enemies now, but we need to focus on Daniel first. The Krathal at least want some humans to survive as an energy source. Daniel wants to transform all of humanity into something else entirely. Colonel Miller developed a daring plan. We need to get close enough to deploy Dr. Phillips's stabilizing agent. If we can restore the humanity of key members in Daniel's group, the hive mind might fracture. The plan required someone who could get close to Daniel without being detected. Benjamin volunteered immediately. He'll sense any normal human approaching, Benjamin said. But I can shield my thoughts from him. He thinks I'm one of his kind. Gabriel disagreed. It's too dangerous. Let me go. I know his compound. We need both of you, Alexandra decided. Gabriel knows the layout. Benjamin can move among them undetected. As they prepared for the mission, Caleb Edwards, a former diplomat, raised a different concern. What about the Krathal prisoner? It claimed this void is a greater threat than anything we're facing now. Foster nodded grimly. We can't ignore that. Sophia Lee confirmed it before she sacrificed herself. They decided to split their forces, while Gabriel and Benjamin infiltrated Daniel's compound with the stabilizing agent. Alexandra would lead a team to communicate with the Krathal leadership. Not to surrender, she clarified. To gather information. We need to understand what we're truly facing. The night before the mission, Foster found Benjamin standing alone looking at the stars. Having doubts? Foster asked. I understand why Daniel changed, Benjamin said quietly. I can feel the power growing in me every day. The temptation to use it to become something more than human. What holds you back? Benjamin smiled slightly. Memories, family, friends, the world as it was, as it could be again. That's what the stabilizing agent is designed to protect, Foster said. Not to remove the power, but to preserve the humanity alongside it. The next morning, their plans were disrupted by unexpected news. The Krathal forces worldwide had begun to retreat. Their ships were gathering in orbit, forming a massive defensive formation. Eva's communications network captured fragments of alien transmissions. They're saying, "It comes. The void comes." Satellite images showed a disturbance. At the edge of the solar system, a darkness deeper than space itself moving toward Earth. Daniel sensed it too. His enhanced forces abandoned their territories and converged on Washington, D.C., where they had built a towering structure over the ruins of the White House. The device pulsed with energy, reaching toward the sky. He's trying to harness the void, Gabriel realized, not fight it. We need to move now, Alexandra ordered, before it's too late. As their forces mobilized, Benjamin approached Foster one last time. If I don't come back, remember what we're fighting for. Not just to survive, but to remain human. Foster nodded, watching as Benjamin and Gabriel departed for Daniel's compound. Alexandra led her team toward the nearest Krathal outpost, hoping to establish communication. Above them, the stars began to disappear, one by one, as something vast and hungry approached Earth. The final battle for humanity's future had begun, not just against alien invaders, but against the darkness humanity had unleashed from within itself. Darkness fell across the planet as the void approached. Not the darkness of night, but something deeper, a shadow that seemed to swallow light itself. People looked up and saw stars vanishing one by one. Benjamin and Gabriel entered Washington, D.C. under cover of this unnatural darkness. The city had changed beyond recognition. The ruins of old buildings were wrapped in strange, glowing structures that pulsed with energy. Enhanced humans moved through the streets with purpose, their eyes glowing, their movements synchronized. The hive mind is stronger here, Benjamin whispered. I can feel it pulling at me. Gabriel nodded. Focus on something personal, a memory they can't touch. They made their way toward the center of the city where Daniel's tower rose above the ruins of the White House. The massive structure pulsed with blue-white energy that reached toward the sky. Meanwhile, Alexandra led her team to a Krathal outpost, 30 miles outside the city. Instead of the resistance they expected, they found the aliens in disarray. Many of their ships were already leaving Earth, fleeing the approaching void. The Krathal commander, a tall figure with shimmering skin, met them without hostility. You come to fight when there is no more time for war, it said in broken English. We came to understand, Alexandra replied. What exactly is the void? The alien's colors shifted to deep purple, the end of all things. It consumes worlds, stars, life. We fled across 1,000 systems to escape it. And that's why you harvested humans? To power your shields? To survive, as we have always done. Foster stepped forward. What about Daniel? Powell? What is he trying to do with your technology? The alien's colors darkened. The changed one seeks to become like the void, to absorb its power rather than flee it. This has never been attempted. It will fail. How can we stop him? You cannot. The process has begun. At the heart of Washington, Benjamin and Gabriel reached the base of Daniel's tower. Enhanced guards stood at every entrance, but they didn't challenge Benjamin. His stabilized transformation allowed him to pass as one of them. Remember the plan? Gabriel said. Find Nathan Black first. If we can restore his mind with the stabilizing agent, he can help us reach Daniel. Benjamin nodded and entered the tower alone. Inside, the structure hummed with power. Enhanced humans worked at strange consoles, their movements perfectly coordinated. At the center of the main floor, Benjamin found Dr. Nathan Black, the once independent scientist now moved like a puppet, his eyes glowing with the same light as all the others. Benjamin approached him cautiously. Dr. Black, he said quietly. I have a message from Dr. Foster. Nathan turned, his gaze empty of recognition. Foster is obsolete. The future approaches. Benjamin moved quickly, pressing the injector with the stabilizing agent against Nathan's neck. The scientist collapsed immediately, his body convulsing as the chemical fought against the hive mind's control. When Nathan's eyes opened again, they were clear, still enhanced, but his own. Benjamin? He whispered. What happened? Where am I? There's no time to explain. Daniel is trying to harness the void. We need to stop him. Nathan struggled to his feet. The tower. It's a conduit. He's attempting to absorb the void's energy and redirect it. But it's too powerful. He'll lose control. Together they made their way to the upper levels where Daniel had established his command center. They found him transformed beyond recognition. His body was elongated, almost skeletal, his skin transparent with light flowing beneath it. Around him, a dozen enhanced humans formed a circle channeling energy. Daniel sensed their presence immediately. Benjamin, he said, his voice echoing strangely. You've come to join us after all. I've come to stop you, Benjamin replied. Daniel smiled, an eerie expression on his inhuman face. Stop me. I'm saving humanity. The void would consume us all just as it consumed countless civilizations before us. I'm turning its power back on itself. By sacrificing what makes us human. Humanity is just a stage, Benjamin. We can be so much more. Outside the tower, Alexandra and Foster arrived with their forces. The Krathal commander had agreed to help them, bringing several of his warriors armed with alien technology. The tower must not activate, the alien said. If it draws the Void's attention directly to this world, nothing will survive. Alexandra organized their attack, but they were quickly surrounded by enhanced humans. The battle that followed was unlike any before. Conventional weapons against psychic powers, alien technology against evolved human abilities. Above them, the sky continued to darken. The Void was now visible, a massive area of absolute blackness that consumed the stars. Inside the tower, Benjamin confronted Daniel. This isn't evolution, it's extinction. You've forgotten what we're fighting for. I remember everything, Daniel said. My family, my life, all taken by the Krathal. Now I'll take something from the universe in return. Nathan worked frantically at a nearby console. He's channeling too much energy. The tower can't contain it. It's going to collapse. Benjamin realized they needed a different approach. Instead of fighting Daniel's mind, he opened his own, sharing his memories, his emotions, his humanity. Remember who you were? Benjamin projected these thoughts toward Daniel. Not just the pain, but the joy, the connections. For a moment, Daniel faltered. His form flickered, and Benjamin saw a glimpse of the man he had been, a father who had lost everything, consumed by grief and rage. It's too late, Daniel said, but his voice sounded human again, filled with sadness. The process can't be stopped. Then help me redirect it, Benjamin urged. Nathan looked up from the console. He's right, we can't stop the energy, but we can change its target. Daniel hesitated, then nodded. Together, the three enhanced humans joined their minds, focusing the tower's energy not at the approaching Void, but at the Krathal harvesting network worldwide. The tower pulsed with blinding light. Around the globe, alien structures shattered, as energy surged through their connected systems. The Krathal ships in orbit scattered, fleeing from the power unleashed below. But the Void continued its approach. It's not enough, Daniel said. The Void is too vast. Then we need more help, Benjamin replied. He extended his consciousness outward, connecting with every enhanced human he could reach, both those in Daniel's hive and those who had maintained their independence. He showed them what was at stake, not commanding but asking. Across the world, enhanced humans made their choice. One by one, they added their power to the network Benjamin had created. Even Sophia Lee, who had survived the attack on Site B, joined them from her hiding place. Alexandra and Foster witnessed the change from outside the tower. The enhanced humans fighting them suddenly stopped, their eyes turning skyward. They're working together, Foster realized. The Krathal commander observed with something like awe. They have united. Perhaps. Above them, the combined psychic force of hundreds of enhanced humans reached toward the Void. It wasn't an attack, but a message, awareness, consciousness, life in all its complexity. The darkness hesitated, then began to recede. It's sentient, Nathan whispered. It understands us now. The tower shuddered violently. The structure had never been designed to channel such power. As walls began to crack, Daniel turned to Benjamin. Get them out, he said. I'll hold it together as long as I can. Benjamin wanted to argue, but he saw the resolve in Daniel's eyes and the humanity that had returned to them. He nodded once, then helped Nathan toward the exit. As they fled the collapsing tower, enhanced humans throughout the city helped evacuate both their kind and normal humans. The old divisions fell away in the face of a greater purpose. Alexandra and Foster watched as the tower finally collapsed in a blinding flash of light. When the dust cleared, the Void was gone from Earth's sky. Stars shone again in the darkness. 1 year later, Director Julia Winters stood at a podium before a rebuilt United Nations. Today we mark the anniversary of what history will call the convergence, she said. The day humanity faced extinction and found a new path forward instead. In the audience, 3 distinct groups sat together. Unenhanced humans, stabilized enhanced humans, and a small delegation of Krethal who had chosen to remain on Earth. Commander Vincent Howard, once Gabriel Stone, led the enhanced human peacekeeping forces. Dr. Lisa Perry continued her work on the stabilizing agent, ensuring that newly enhanced humans could retain their humanity. Benjamin Morris watched from the back of the room. His transformation had stabilized naturally, making him a bridge between worlds. Beside him stood Dr. Foster, now leading the combined Human-Alien Scientific Council. "Do you think it's really gone?" Foster asked quietly. "The void?" Benjamin looked upward, extending his senses to the stars. "Not gone, but changed, like we are. It understood us at the end. It recognized life. And Daniel?" Benjamin smiled sadly. "Some say they can still feel him sometimes, at the edge of their consciousness, watching over us." Outside, people moved through the streets of the new world, changed, scarred, but surviving, together. The invaders had indeed brought hell to Earth, and humanity had unleashed its own darkness in response. But from that darkness, they had found a new kind of light, a light that would spread to the stars.